Hey guys, so I know I've kind of been doing like a few different backgrounds. I'm kind of just experimenting and kind of wanting to do something a little different and just work around different lighting. So if that's why the background is different. But today I wanted to do another underrated book series because I got a lot of positive feedback on the first video that I made, so I wanted to give you guys another one. And if you have not guessed from the title, this one is going to be about short stories. So in general, I just think that short stories are a type of book that doesn't really get the kind of love that they deserve. Short stories are just really fun, and it takes a certain skill and finesse, I believe, to be able to write a really great short story, whereas a book, you have a lot longer to develop your characters and kind of build these emotions. In a short story, it's obviously a lot shorter to do that, and you still have to convey a story. And I think they're just really great little nuggets of reading, and I really enjoy kind of going further into this genre, I guess if you could say. And I really enjoy writing short stories, and I enjoy reading them as well. So I thought I would share a few of my favorite short story collections and just a few other places where you can find short stories. I mean, short stories are basically what make up a ton of literary magazines, and that's where a lot of authors get their start, by publishing in literary magazines, publishing their short stories. And I just think it's such great to see new writers and more developed and more experienced writers all writing different short stories. The first one I want to mention, which I did actually mention in the first version, which I will put a little link up above too, so you can see that video if you haven't, but that is Digital Geishas and Talking Frogs. And this was edited by Helen Mitzios, and like I said in the first video, it's just a really awesome collection of Japanese writers and their short stories. If you like something verging on the more weird side, then I feel like this is a really great short story collection for you. It's just really awesome. I love the hints of the culture, and just the stories are really cool too. So I won't go too much into detail since I talked about it before, but definitely I highly recommend this book, as you can tell since I've mentioned it already twice on this series. But it's really a great short story collection. So the next book is also steeped in Japanese culture, and this is The 3 Scenarios in Which Hana Sasaki Grows a Tail, Stories by Kelly Luce. And this I just really came across because I was looking at new publishing companies, and this was published by A Strange Object, I believe. Yeah, by A Strange Object. And she's a very new writer. She's going, I think she's currently still in an MFA program, get her master's in creative writing. And this is really the first short story collection that she published. And I find it amazing. For somebody that lived in Japan for a while, she has a very vast knowledge of Japanese culture, and it's just a very interesting book. Again, these short stories are a little crazy, as you can tell with the title and the cover, but they're really awesome short stories. And I also did a review on this for a literary review website called Rain Taxi. I'll put a link down below for that. It was a couple years ago, but I absolutely adored this book, and it's so short. The stories are really bite-sized pieces that you can just read one every day or something like that, and it's just a really easy book to get through. The next collection of short stories is called The Isle of Youth by Laura Vandenberg. I've mentioned this author before in my channel, where she finally published a full novel, and I was not too happy with the novel, but I really enjoyed this short story collection, and that's what made me want to go read her first novel. But her short stories are very interesting, they're very unique. They also have a touch of weird aspects to them. A lot of the characters are just very lost, and I believe there's a group of runaway kids that try to rob a bank. There's a girl that believes her dad is a magician, and so her stories are just very interesting. They can be a tad dark at times, so if you're really not into that kind of thing, then I wouldn't recommend this book. But overall, I love her style of writing. It's just very beautiful, and the stories are just very interesting and thought-provoking. And the next book is 100 Apocalypses and Other Apocalypses by Lucy Corin. And this short story collection is very interesting. I really enjoyed the first story called Mad Men, where young kids kind of get this crazy person as like their kind of version of a pet. It's kind of like takes place in the future, and instead of getting a dog, these people get crazy people. So it's very interesting. I like the dynamic of the story, and I feel like what she does in this book is a lot different than what I'm used to reading, and so I was really interested in that part. I've noticed that all these short stories are kind of more on the weird side, but I really enjoy that in a good short story because it makes me think a lot as I'm reading it and after I'm reading it. So this is also a really great book to pick up, and the cover is really cool too. So it's just a really awesome book, and this was published by McSweeney's. So last but not least, I have Lori Moore's book SelfHelp. So this book was published in 1985, so it's a little bit older than the other books that I mentioned in this video, but I really wanted to give a shout out to Lori Moore because I really enjoyed this book. I actually had to read it for college in my short story writing class, so this was kind of like my first introduction into short stories, honestly, and I thought it was just a really great book. She has a story that takes in the second person. It's a lot of stories about women and their kind of struggles. There's a story about a mistress who's waiting on this guy that's married to come back to her. It's a really interesting collection of stories, and I feel like if you're into feminism and kind of women rights, I would definitely suggest this book. Otherwise, it's just also a really great book if you're looking for something more on the realism side. Like, this is just about everyday women. There's no like creepy, magical, or surreal kind of aspects to it. I just love this book, so I think that it's definitely something that everyone should pick up. Those are all the short stories that I wanted to talk with you about today. Let me know if you've read any of these or if you have any other recommendations. I'm always looking for other great books to read, so let me know of any great books that you guys are reading right now in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. Each chapter follows a different person and kind of talks about their story in a